Can you hear me? How about now? How about now? Oh, you can hear me. Are you muted?
Is it on? I can't hear a thing.
I can't hear you now. Okay, maybe we should dial in again.
No, I can't hear it. Hello? It is it? Oh, right.
Voice Acting Unplugged.
Welcome to Voice Acting Unplugged, a podcast dedicated to exploring the art and business of voice acting. I'm Anthony Rudd, and I'm here with my able co-host, Margaret Ashley.
Hi, everybody. And I have got the great job of introducing our very special guest today. He's an inspiring actor, a VO entrepreneur, a charity fundraiser, and was awarded the Inspiration Award at the One Voice Awards in 2024 for his work as a charity fundraiser, for the work he did on Alice in Wonderland, Alice Through the Looking Glass, and for setting up Wonderland VO, a training program for voice actors. Hi, Brad. Welcome to the show. Brad Shaw.
Hello, Margaret. Hello, Anthony.
Hello, Brad. How you doing?
Yeah, very, very well. Thank you. Very well. Thank you for asking me on. Here we are.
Pleasure.
Tell us a little bit about Wonderland VO. How did that all come about?
Okay, well, beginning of lockdown, I had just spent the year in Europe on a fantastic new job. I came back to voiceover at the beginning of 2020, well, it was at that point, just as the pandemic hit, so I was diagnosed with the stage 3 melanoma. So obviously I was quite scared about that, and had to go out every month to the Royal Marsden during lockdown for an infusion. Thankfully, immunotherapy is not like chemotherapy where it's so
invasive.
Yes, invasive, absolutely. Good word. It's less invasive, but it still took me that year to get through that. Yes, out of that we started the Wonderland. We started the Wonderland social. One of the things that I wanted to do when I got ill was to have lots of positivity fired towards me. So the thing that I did to facilitate that was to find a public domain book, this time Alice in Wonderland, split it down into 159 one-minute chunks, and put it out there to the community and say, record me 1 minute and donate something to the National Health Service, and I'll put the whole thing together. And what I didn't think about at the time was obviously all of the better known actors and actresses were also not working. So they found out about my project, and I got a phone call one day from Juliet Stevenson, the actress, saying, I love this. What can I do to help? I've got an open address book. Who do you want? The following day, I'm going mad.
Harriet Waters?
Dame Harriet Waters came on, and we ended up having about 15, 16 celebrities on there, from Griff Rhys-Jones to I got a phone call one day from one of my comedy heroes, Michael Palin, who said, look, I love your project. I'd really love to do it, but I don't have a studio. It's going to sound terrible. And I thought, this is Michael Palin. You can fart into a paper bag and I'd be happy with it. Anyway, his son even rang me up, Tom, and said, Dad's really worried. What's Dad worried about? It's Michael Palin. Anyway, he did one. I'd met him before, and he's a very unassuming and a lovely man, and yes, as I said, one of my comedy heroes. And so, yeah, that really did work as a way of every day I was getting these wonderful little 1 minute, just beautiful nuggets of voice with words of encouragement, and that's really got me through that first year. So we started doing the Wonderland social. So once a month from all over the UK and America and Canada and even Australia a little bit, we have an online social. But once I had got clear of the melanoma, and then a few weeks later I got prostate cancer. So I had an operation for the prostate cancer, and that was fine for a short while until the melanoma returned. Quite with a vengeance this time. And so I ended up having an axillary dissection operation, which is the same operation under your armpit that a lot of women who have breast cancer have the same operation to cut out some of the lymph nodes that have got the cancer in. And they got 5 out of the 6 lymph nodes they took out were cancerous, so they got rid of all of that. So I decided, well, I need cheering up again. So I decided to do it all again, even though it was, with the fear that this time it wouldn't be a joy, it would be a chore. So I did the follow-up Alice Through the Looking Glass, and of course it wasn't a chore, because just hearing everybody, by this time, a lot of our community had got to know each other there, and so 99% of the voices on the books, the main group of Wonderlanders would recognise. And so we did it again. And and out of all of that, the social started going on. During the first lockdown, one of our friends, the other training companies, started doing a half an hour or an hour Thursday afternoon marketing session, which we loved, and it kept us all together. And then that was stopped for no particular reason. And I thought, I really want to continue doing that, this Thursday afternoon thing that we all get together and somebody great comes along. And so here we are, 4 years down the line. We've been doing it ever since, virtually every Thursday, with a new... And 1 week we have our script workouts with a guest director, and we've had all sorts of wonderful directors on. And then the following week is the... Wonderland Marketing Hour with coaches giving us marketing sessions. And so that's worked brilliantly, because the coaches don't charge me anything, because they come on. We've got a big database of working voice actors, so they can promote all of their courses or one-to-one coaching or whatever it is that they do in return for coming and chatting to our folks for an hour. So it's always been a fair exchange, but it also means that I can offer that out for virtually nothing. And it's become a really good, valuable resource. And on top of that, we've started doing 3-hour workshops. And we do all of those at a very low rate. I've got a 5-session improv workout for character creation for voiceovers, also next season. And so that's how we came about.
Fantastic. And where can I check all this out? Where's the best address to go to?
So, yes, I need to change them all onto the one. The first, you can just go onto if you go onto the Wonderland VO website.
So wonderlandvo.com.
Wonderlandvo.com.
But what's great about it all, Brad, is that you've brought people together from all over the world, and some newbies who had no idea of how to get along in voiceover, and you've helped them an awful lot.
Yes, I have. But the one thing that we don't cater for is complete newcomers. because there are other companies out there, your Gravies and your voiceover networks, whose bread and butter is newcomers to the industry. So we basically, anybody can join Wonderland who's already had either a little bit of coaching, has got a demo already, has got a website, done something on their path to becoming a voiceover, so that we're not the first thing. Because we're not really set up for that. As I said, there's the other people who are very, very well set up for that and do a very good job. And that's not what I'm aiming to do.
But it's a very intimate feel, isn't it? You've got, everyone feels as though they're friends, they can ask anything. You've got people who will talk about voice production. You've got people who will help with directing a session, give them advice on auditioning and things like that. So it's a very intimate feel.
Very much so. The one thing that I wanted to do, all of this came out of giving me support when I was in need. And so the whole thing is about the community, and is about a community of like-minded people. And as we all know, as working voiceovers, there's very, very few of us are competitors to anybody else, because we're all so individual. So therefore, the industry is one of the most supportive, having been a jobbing actor for many years and a producer and stuff. It's very different from all of that, where quite a lot of, it's not quite as supportive. There are, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of supportive people in those areas, but not as many as in voiceover. And everybody's out to help each other. We all have fun. We all look forward to the various social aspects of it. You think the award ceremony was mainly there to go and celebrate the victories of. No, it's not. It's one big time to have a party and have fun with each other, more so than anything else. It really is, which is one of the reasons why the social still goes on after all this time, because it's become a little bit of a gang, and people come and go, and people have dropped out and new people have come in.
And the socials are quite legendary for their length of time running.
When I first started, I sat there till the bitter end, and there was, as I'm just recently turned 60, all the 20, 30 and 40-year-olds on there. I had, let's put it like this, for many years I had more energy than anybody on there. But it comes a point. So now we have a system on the... I learned my lesson not to hand over the keys to my room to anybody else. Because as soon as I did, I got a complaint that somebody had been talking about politics and had upset somebody else, and it had all gone pear-shaped. The one rule I have, and I know you'll say that limits free speech, but we generally don't talk about religion or politics.
What's the point? What's the point?
Exactly, because it will always lead to an argument. And yes, the great debate, sensible debate is great, but these Wonderland Social isn't the place for it. No.
But some great things have come from that social, and some great friendships have been made from it.
Oh, totally. We have this wonderful group. And a lot of support. And a lot of times people have got work off the back of Wonderland. A director's heard somebody's voice and immediately sent them a casting. It works two ways. We all... the coaches and the directors that I've got to know, none of them know it all. We're all, we all learn for the rest of our lives. And so, I look at Rosie, my ex, who's been in musical theatre for 45 years, 55. She's 71 now and got into it when she was 16. And she still goes to the same singing teacher she's gone to for the last 45 years. And now they teach each other. Joy's 90, Rosie's 71. And they're amazing people. And they're very much of the same opinion that you carry on learning. I've
got to say that one of your... I came to the Hugh Klipsky session.
Right, yeah.
Conversational director. Wow, so much to learn in such a short period of time. I don't think I've learned as much in an hour as with that guy. He's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very blessed to have some great people there. The way I tend to work it is that we do a 3-hour workshop, but as a prelude to the 3-hour workshop, and as a way of selling it, if I'm honest, we get the coach or the director on for a bit of a Q&A, just to find out a little bit more about them. Now, I mean, on Hugh's one, I think he did give a little too much away that maybe he should have kept for the workshop. I generally do it as an interview, a Q&A style interview these days, rather than give us a little bit of the workshop, because that can have negative effects. That if you give too much, people will say, "Well, I don't need to book now because I've learned what I need to know. Thank you very much." So anyway, yes.
The read-throughs with him in the workshop as well were very, very, very useful.
Yeah,
I was very taken with that chap. He's good.
He's very good, actually. Yeah. He's going to be doing another one coming up, but we've got some great one. This last season tended to be more about gaming for no particular. I didn't really design it like that. I designed it to have a mix. But then when one of the bonus things of winning that award was suddenly all the people who'd said, maybe sometime I'd like to work with you, they all turned around and said, oh, we'd like to work with you. So,
but also gaming is because you cast a game recently, didn't you?
Yeah, no, it was kind of quite a long time ago now. I was just doing my accounts, and it's nearly 2 years ago.
Is it? Gosh,
this game.
I thought it was
now,
just last year.
Which is no, we've been doing it for ages. It was a session. A friend of mine was doing a pay-to-play thing, and they asked him if he could, if he knew anybody who could put together, the casting side of it. So having been a producer for on and off for many years, you just need to get the right people into place. So I'd been doing a lot of work just previous to that with Emily Jardine. So I thought, okay, well, I've never worked with her as a casting director, but I've seen some of the amazing coaching she's done. And so she came on board. Well, she worked her miracles. So yes, I got Amrit Sandhu, another voiceover friend of ours who's got a lovely studio in his back garden. So we used that as the base, and then Emily came along and got about 1 million bits of paper, and worked magic with them until she came out with the schedule, which was amazing. The casting was fabulous, but because it had to be facial capture as well, everybody had to do full self-tapes. So we ended up having to go through 150 self-tapes. Very interesting to see what it, to see it all from the other side. And interesting, you with that many people, you're willing people to do something shit, pardon my French, so that they can be put out of the pile. It's true. You do anything to whittle that down to the number that you need. And we always think we're sitting this side thinking, I wonder if they've listened. I wonder, oh my God. But you go from the other side and you go, oh my God, I've got so many. How am I going to get through these? Right. Yes, he didn't say his name properly. Right. He's going in the bin. He didn't. It's not quite as bad as that. But, you get a feeling of how frustrating it is from the other side. And to only get 150 is a very small amount compared to audio only, and how many of those they get.
Did you have to limit the number that you listen to in a block? Because presumably you lose all the will to live after
you do. Yeah, and well, we did a first read through where we just literally said yes pile or no pile, yeah, it does get, and also little things. If you're doing more than one take, and you do them back to back. So that you've listened to 3, then you listen to another 3, and then I've forgotten what the first one, and then it's the same if you listen to them in sequence, and you've listened to another 3 in sequence. You know what I mean? Putting in 3 quite often pisses the people off a lot, because it might sound like one more take to us, but it's a third more work for them. Does it ever get listened to, the third one? I would say 2's enough, but there's no hard and fast rules. But it was just interesting being the other side of the glass.
I suppose you in an audition you want to give 2 so that you can show that you've got range.
Yeah, absolutely. I think do one. Which it follows the brief exactly, and then do one that that takes it somewhere else that they might not have thought about.
Yeah.
But listening to all of those, amongst all those 150, did anybody just jump out at you that you think, I need to hear this person again?
Oh, absolutely, yes. You know what it's like. There's sometimes, if the voice sounds like what you had in your head, it's like giving Anna Cass her first ever voiceover job, and she auditioned for a couple of the parts. And the 3 of us, as we were listening, but they didn't really know her at that stage. And we all just looked at each other and said, yeah. And all 3 of us at the same time looked at each other and went like that. So, yeah, I think, it's, we're so insecure as actors. It's so often not, most of the time, not because you did badly. It's because it's almost always because you just weren't right for that particular character.
Did you do you pay much attention to CVs at this point? Are you looking also at what training they've had, or it's all down to the audition?
It's only once we whittled them down that we I want to know that they can do the job first of all. Remember, I'm not the best person to ask for this, because that was I've cast a lot of live actors, but I haven't cast that many voice actors. So that was kind of my first time, really. So
you've got something else coming up in the pipeline as well, haven't you, Brad? You're offering a mentoring service?
Yeah, lots of new things happening at Wonderland. We've got, first of all, the mentoring service, which I know a lot of younger people in this industry who are very, very talented, but are not... haven't yet learned how to cope with this being the rejection business. Let's put it like that. There's a lot of people now who are quite fragile from a mental health point of view, and it's just a something to if I can. Quite often, people just want to be able to talk through something they've got stuck with, or an area that they're at in their life that they just need to talk through a lot of times. Quite often, I call it a bloody good talking to, but with empathy. And often it is, and often you don't, as a mentor, you don't need to say anything. You're just finding out and listening. For a voiceover as well as a mentor, listening is such a key skill, and so many people aren't very good at listening. Yeah. How many times you've been in a conversation when the phrase could apply, are you listening or are you waiting to talk?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those sort of people who haven't listened to a word, you'll say, because they've got a better story. They've just been lining it up whilst you've been, and they've probably seen your lips move, but haven't heard a word.
So I'd imagine that 10 years in entertainment marketing has come in handy as a voice actor, and indeed in mentoring others.
Yeah, I think everything I've done since I started has been either on one side of the performing, being either a performer or a producer. And I think everything that I've done has helped towards that. Yes, very much so. You know, I was involved at quite a high level in the gaming industry many years before I even thought about potentially being a voice. A voice was only just starting to be used, really, on some of the LucasArts point-and-click adventures. They had a little bit of voice on them, and all a bit stilted, though. But yeah, I mean, I got to know the industry, and I've always been a gamer. The world's greatest procrastination technique. Yes, and actually when my business, I had an office at the design centre in Islington, and it was a glass-fronted office overlooking, and of course it would look like I'm really busy behind my desk. I deliberately did it so that you could only see the back of my computer. And back then, you can imagine what a chunky bit of kit an office PC was. But actually, secretly, I was behind there going... do that. It's like the time I walked into the Virgin. Virgin had a computer game division at one point called Virgin Interactive Entertainment, and I walked in, and the whole of the office was silent. Occasionally, and I thought, "It's never like this. What's going on?" And there was a first-person shooting game that was massive at the time called Doom.
Oh, I remember,
Doom,
yeah.
And Doom had just arrived, and the whole of the office were in a massive online networked game against each other. That was what the entire company was doing. About 50 of them, all, you know. But there you go.
That's clearly happened in lots of offices. I remember Adele Cutting telling us a similar story. How she just started a job and she ended up staying late every night because everybody else was staying late. And what she didn't realise was they were playing the game.
Well, yeah, there was that. I'm still in touch with some of them from back then. So they were. That was good fun. And yeah, from there I ended up becoming a jobbing actor. And so used to do everything. I wasn't one of these people who was precious about what I did as an actor. I wanted to earn a living, so I would do anything. So it would literally be a murder mystery one day. It would be a bit of fringe theatre, and the next day I'd be comparing a corporate It's a Knockout on a field somewhere the following day, doing a corporate auction another day, I don't know, whatever, making short films, corporate role plays, oh my God.
But these are all skills that you can bring into voiceover.
I know. But yeah, so I did everything, and a lot of that can be just as useful in the voice industry. I did, towards the end of my time as a jobbing actor, I was taken on by a friend of mine who had just got involved in bringing over a Dutch shopping channel to the UK, and was brought them over. They got their slot on TV, but they realised they had all of their 300 infomercials were in Dutch, so they needed kind of somebody fairly quickly who could revoice all of their infomercials. So they bought me a microphone. In fact, the microphone I use on the kit out there, it has the old Rode NT2, which was that very same microphone, still going very well out there. Yes, and they bought me an I think it was an M Mobile interface, and said, yes, sort your room out and do these for us. And it was great. Over 4 years, I learnt to record to time. I learnt to edit very quickly.
Did you learn Dutch?
I didn't learn Dutch. No, absolutely not. But I learned that in the 90s, one of the best things you can do is speak very fast and very loud with the intonation of a presenter. Not only that, you can buy one, get one free, and you get a free chopper, and you get a free pickling jar. Not only that, I thought those skills came in very...
Yeah.
Then when I disappeared from voiceover for quite a few years and came back in 2020, all of that had gone.
Yeah.
The only person still making a living out of that sort of voice was Peter Dixon.
Indeed.
And yeah, it was like, it was literally like restarting from the beginning, having done all my voice work, like that.
Yeah. So, speaking of starting from the beginning, what advice would you give a young person who's just maybe left college, wants to get into voice acting? What would you say to them? What would their best course of action be?
Well, be a realist, first of all. First of all, know that you're getting into, it's a minimum 5-year game plan. You ain't going to be very well known as a voice actor this time in 6 months' time. So forget all that. You have to really, really want to do it. If you just think this is something, your aunt said I had a good voice and I thought, yeah, I have, but I've got a load of other things that I want to do, then this ain't for you. Most people in the straight acting game and in the voice game, it's slightly more in the voice game, but it's only 5% of working voice actors are making a full-time living out of it, And most people who we talk to and will tell you what they're doing, divided by half, because we like to big ourselves up, don't we? But virtually anybody, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. No, you're not. And if you are doing that amount, why do you need to talk about it? Why do you need to, Anyway, so perseverance, 100%. Coaching. Find somebody that you can... that you really do empathise with, that you really do get on with, because, they will hold your hand. Accountability groups, a lot of people use accountability groups now as well.
Acting lessons? Do they need to have acting lessons? 100%.
People say, yeah, but I'm only going to be doing corporates and e-learning. I'm sorry, we're still storytellers. It's all about storytelling. You need to be able to, in whatever genre you're in, you need to be able to convincingly tell that story, and not necessarily as yourself, So I think, yes, very much, if you can, even if you're just got an amateur dramatics group that meets once a week, or an improv group, or all of that, anything that gets you talking out there, gives you some confidence, and allows you to explore your voice. We've started doing voice clinics with a lady by the name of Karen Esposito, who's a voice and speech therapist for the NHS, but also a voiceover. She does starting to work now with some of the practitioners of extreme voicing, Sebastian Croteau, making sure that stuff that's being said is coming from a place of fact. And she's quite often we don't spend enough time learning about our own instrument and what it can do and the range.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah. And have you tried pushing for what your range is? A lot of people haven't, because they find a comfortable place in the middle and there they stay for their entire career, which is fine. Some people can do that. And some people, there's you ask 10 voice directors what the secret is, and they'll give you 10 completely different answers.
Yeah.
Just thinking about the future, have you got any idea where you think things might be going in the next year or so?
Well, I think everybody... everybody has been saying and feeling that the last year or two have not been great compared to years before that. And I think it is starting to. I think things, yes, of course, are streamlining. But I think it is coming back. I'm not always going to be in the same way. I don't think it's ever going to go back to exactly how it was and the good old days and all of that. I don't think, that we're not going to be all going back for every session into studios. Of course we're not. Production companies aren't stupid. They've realised they can get the same result as they did before without spending so much money. Dutch wood will still all for the bigger jobs, still all go back in, because there's nothing like doing it live in the studio. It's why a lot of people started coming back out again, because it's too lonely just being in a booth. So yes, I think the ones that survive, like any industry, are the ones with the resilience. You have to have a bit of talent there as well. But the ones that keep improving themselves, keep getting involved with people, with other people. It's about people. For me, where I'm going to go, I think certainly for at least the next year, Wonderland will come on. I'm in a very lucky position where I'm at a stage in my life where if a wonderful project comes along that doesn't pay a huge amount of money, I can do it. There was a thing that we used to say, and it's the 3 Ks. Well, 3 Ks and a C, but don't tell anyone. And why would you do a job? And the three Ks are cash, kudos, or kicks. Unless it's paying you really good money, or doing something really good for your career, or it's just something you get off on, then why do the job? But it's not the same for everybody, because we all got to pay the bills, and we've all got to put bread on the table, and so it's different for anybody. But that old adage, if you don't know where you're going, there's no way that you're going to get there, is still as true as it was. So yeah.
Thanks, Brad. It's been great listening to you. You've had an incredible and amusing in lots of ways, an incredible journey. We've had an amusing time listening to you. So if anybody wants any more information, we're going to be putting Brad's details in the show notes and down below. And if you want to sign off for us, Anthony?
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Brad. That's wonderful. Do check out wonderlandvo.com for details of what Brad's been up to and ways that you can join Wonderland for those amazing sessions. And we'd love to hear from you. So don't be shy. Don't forget to follow us on social media and check out our websites listed below and in the show notes. This has been Voice Acting Unplugged with me and Brad Shaw and Margaret Ashley. Thank you very, very much for listening.
Thank you.
Bye.